SoFloRadio.com and SoFloTelevision.com. Since the dawn of civilization, the elusive quest in pursuit of the perfect drink continues to evolve. Now more than ever, we reap the rewards of this passion. The perfect vintage, the finest brew, or a spirit of optimum age and class. And now, SoFloRadio.com invites you to discover the wonderful world of booze by the glass.
Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to By the Glass. I'm your host, Brett Hubbard, and I'm welcoming you to explore the wonderful world of wine, beer, spirits, and everything in between. We got a wonderful show for you this evening. I'm joined by my guest host, Dio.
Hello.
Jason couldn't be here tonight, but he's coming back anytime soon. He's just working hard out there, and we got Ivan Bad on the board.
I'm not bad yet. I gotta get my glasses
He's
on.
bad. He's crazy.
What are
He's
some
wild.
Good wine glasses.
Oh, we got some.
Purple.
Get your
Purple
wine glasses on because we got a hell of a wine show tonight. We got Morgan Hartman from Vine Connections in the house. Morgan.
Woo!
Thank you
Morgan
so much for coming
Hartman,
back. Give her a big round of applause, folks. You know, this is her fourth time on the show, and she's still putting up with us. Unbelievable and amazing.
Most people don't come back.
Most people never come back. They run screaming from the building, and they never come back. But Morgan, she's glutton for punishment. She comes back for more. So, and it really all started out with that unbelievable and amazing sake show.
Yeah, it did.
She is the sake lady
Yes,
of
she
South
is.
Florida. I tend to, absolutely.
try sake.
Well, let me just introduce Stephanie Frawley.
Really?
Stephanie.
Nice to meet you.
Stephanie's sitting in. She's an intern here in the studio, and Stephanie's going to sit in because she's half Chilean.
Yes, my
And-
mother is Chilena.
All right, so tonight's our Chilean wine show, so she's going to show a little insight. None of us have been to Chile. Well, I really would love to go soon, but however, never been there, so she's going to show a little insight, maybe paint some pictures in your mind of all these wonderful vineyards and the foothills and let me see if I can say this, Entre Cortadilla. Like lead up to the end.
Tell him he did a good job. He's very
Just telling
sensitive.
me I did a good job. It doesn't matter if I did a good job.
Very good.
The Univision voice and everything.
Yeah, fantastic. But it's really wonderful to have you. And the sake show was a game breaker. It took me to the next level, and I've never really. Every time I'm drinking sake now, it's just like I'm like spouting off left and right. I'm thinking I'm the sake lady, but nobody can really do it like Morgan.
A little bit around the eyes.
Welcome,
Like
Morgan.
sake lady.
Say hello to everybody, and let me shut up for a second.
Hello, everybody.
It's fantastic to have you back. And, she's brought us such unbelievable shows like Terry Haberer from Yacochuya. Unbelievable show.
wow.
I love seeing Terry on Instagram. He sends the most unbelievable shots of the Uruguayan countryside and just the real beautiful Uruguayan country. I say it like a Cuban. Uruguayan countryside. Right?
Uruguay.
Uruguay.
Not Uruguay.
Come on now, it was like a Cuban. And it was the most
Uruguay.
beautiful countryside. He really does. And then, of course, my buddy, the best, Matias Fraga from Tikal. That dude is awesome.
Yes, he is.
Really
He
just
was
great people.
fun.
You've brought us some unbelievable winemakers and some amazing insight into the beverage industry, and we just love having you, and thank you so much for coming tonight.
Always great to be here.
Absolutely. And tonight is our Chilean wine spotlight. We have such unbelievable wines from all over the Chilean region. And Chile, maybe some of you don't know, it's the world's 8th largest wine producer. It trails Italy, France, and Spain, and the United States. But just by a small margin, it is really up and coming due to its unbelievable microclimates and the real wonderful terroir that it does offer the world due to its real specific altitudes and its proximity to the ocean, correct?
Yes. There's actually 3 regions. There's the coastal region, the valley region, and then the mountain region. And they all offer different climates, different altitudes, and completely different styles of wine.
It's fantastic. It's a series of valleys stretching 700 miles from the north to the south, starting with the Elqui Valley, or the Elqui Valley, if I say that right, to the Maleco in the south. And you really do span from deserts to tropical rainforests all the way up to alpine forests and really intense, lush greenery, correct?
Yes. Actually, one of the things I was surprised to learn is that Chile from north to south is about as long as the United States is wide. And
pretty
that's
amazing.
huge. It's
That really
vast.
was that about 3,500 miles, I think. I've
Somewhere in
driven
that
it
range.
a couple times, and
Yeah.
it's pretty vast. It's pretty amazing. And the thing is that it's really interesting because you have the coastal ranges, and then you have the valleys, and then you have the mountains, which really span up to the Andes. And it's similar to California in that way, to where you have the Sierras, but then there's the coastal ranges and the foothills. So that is the real interesting Entre Cordillera. I said it right. That region right there, which is those are wonderful because they bring you into their nice rolling hills. And if you look at some of the pictures, and that's why we brought Stephanie here, she can kind of show you maybe in her mind. Have you seen some of these winding regions when you've been down there?
Yes, I have family that lives in the country. And as you're going through the country, you do see all the vineyards, and especially like since we land in Santiago, which is a lot of the vineyards are held at. Coming from Santiago to where my family lives, like more down, like you see all the vineyards and you see the valleys, and it's exactly like that. You see like hills, and you see like the different vineyards and the wine and the grapes everywhere. Like it's beautiful against the mountains.
That's fantastic. When we spoke to Matias, I remember speaking to Matias about Argentina and how it goes from not necessarily a valley, maybe about 1,000 feet above sea level, to about 6,000, but only within just a mile or two.
Yeah, I remember that. He said it's like you're up here and then you're down here, and it's like in a blink.
Yeah, so it changes. If you think about the thousands, millions of years it took for that sediment for the glaciers to push all that sediment up to the mountains, you have such different minerality, such different altitudes, and that really engages the wine. And what they call those high altitudes wines, the ones that they've planted and replanted, and they've really gotten their system of vines perfectly to create this unbelievable fruit. Correct?
Correct. And there are a lot of winemakers from all over the world, including Switzerland, France, who have found this region and found it to be really special. And the extremity of the terrain is really interesting and creates really interesting growing regions for the grapes. It's very pretty.
Right.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I mean, it's breathtaking. I've never seen it firsthand, but I mean, you look at some pictures of the Andes just standing on the shore, and you can look off and see the Andes, and they're always in the background.
Yeah,
and they're
beautiful.
Climbing to the sky.
Yeah, and I tend to go during wintertime there, so you see all the snow. And then you see like the thawing, so you see grass underneath, but it's beautiful.
You know, it's funny too because it's all backwards from what we experience here. And then the further south you go, it gets colder, more like San Francisco. And then the further north you go, it gets more like Florida.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's a trip. So basically, it's 1,000 feet to more than 6,000 feet. Some of it's hot and dry in the north, and then cold, wet in the south. And basically, some parts they get up to 50 inches of rainfall. Some places they get up to an inch or two, just more desert style. And it's very vast. Temperatures range from 59 to 64 degrees Fahrenheit. So, and it's all along the Pacific. And what they've done, and what really in the, it's interesting because I didn't realize it dated back so far, but I think it was the 16th century is when the Spanish conquistadors first colonized the region, coming over. That's pretty early. It's 1500s. So, coming over that early, they didn't have the Panama Canal to go through, so they had to go around the bottom. That must have been tough. Right?
The horn. We're gonna go around the horn.
Around the horn, around the outside. And it must have been real tough, but when they got there, they found, just an absolute paradise. And the thing about it is it's interesting. Latour has his Los Vascos there. And the reason that he found that region, planted that region, and it was something that he wanted to bring his European-style vines to, was because of the lack of disease, pests, and the phylloxera.
Yes. And the climate, because there's a wind that comes off the Pacific Ocean that actually cools the grapes, and it makes for a longer growing season.
It does, right? It creates, microclimates, diversities really help because the interesting thing is that I was talking to somebody about, we were talking last week, we had a moonshine on, but they were saying that the guy made vodka out of wine initially.
The grape.
Really?
Out of muscadine grapes. And I was like, damn, muscadine grapes are nasty. And he's like, but nothing else will grow in Florida because it's like so hot and sticky and you really can't get anything else to grow. But the interesting thing about California, it gets hot there. There's direct sunlight, especially in places like Chile and France. I mean, there's regions that are like that, but it's that microclimate, that diversity of, after the sun goes down, it gets cool.
Yes.
It cools the grape. And then it gets hot in the day, cool. There's not a lot of moisture. Or maybe there is a little bit more moisture. It depends on the varietal. And there's just a ton of different varietals that are grown down there. I mean, it's very vast. You have some European vinifera, and then you have some really native grapes, correct?
Yes, correct.
So, and the the European vinifera, like the Chardonnays or the Cabernet Sauvignons, they can go either way. You can have minerality with some of them. They can do them either in stainless steel or, Nouveau with some French oak. Or they can be spicy. They can be dry. They can be fruity. I mean, there really is a wide range. The winemakers are going crazy down there, correct?
They really are. And especially the boutique wineries. They're working with all kinds of Bordeaux varietals. They're working with Pinot Noir, Chardonnay, grapes that you don't associate with Chile necessarily. Everybody thinks about Carmenere, which is really kind of what put Chile on the map. But I just read that Chardonnay is one of the most widely planted grapes down there.
It's interesting. Yeah, Carmenere is to Chile what is Malbec to Argentina.
I'm curious. What does this wine taste like?
Well, I'm glad you asked. Fantastic.
You didn't even let it get to
So let's start off with where are we going to start today?
Jason will
This
be
is
proud.
a Maina Sauvignon Blanc.
You're what?
Oh, perfect.
And I'll let you guys
Amanya.
go ahead and start.
Get your onya because this is Amanya.
This is from San Antonio Valley, and this is in the north. And
Now,
it is actually a valley fruit.
right. Go ahead.
So it's protected by the coastline and doesn't get those really cold winds that the vineyards closer to the ocean do.
Right.
And
Interesting. Sauvignon Blanc, always tends to be light, crisp, dry. Some of the differences in Sauvignon Blancs, if you look at Old World, New World, some of the Old World Sauvignon Blancs are going to be a little bit more closed-off fruits. They're going to be more lemon zest and that type of thing. But I get bright grapefruit out of New World. I get a little bit more spice out of New World. Fresh, bright fruits out of New World. But Chile can kind of go either way with its microclimates. I mean, these guys, like you said, with their small plots of lands and the types of soils that they want to plant in, the altitudes are so relatively close to each other that they're between 1,000 and 6,000 feet, is within a couple of miles. They can really dial in the type of flavors they're going for. If it's more on a slope with a little bit more spice, or if they want more direct sunlight to give it a little bit more fruit, and kind of speak into that a little bit. I mean, just pretty amazing stuff.
this is definitely more on the, I would say, the spicier side.
Okay.
I would say a little more minerality.
Right.
And certainly more grapefruity.
Yeah.
But clean. It's hand-picked fruit. Which means that it's not machine harvested, which means there's not a lot of maceration that happens before the fruit gets to the vineyard or the winery.
I remember Matias talking about that a lot. I mean, that was one of the things that he really spoke into, was the fact that everything was hand-picked. And if you're thinking about really owning a winery and the amount of just endless, vast vines that you have growing and the types of fruits that they're producing, and people getting out there and they're clipping the leaves, they're trimming them back, they're making sure that their best fruit is getting the amount of sunlight that it needs. Basically their yield is going to be smaller, but they're going to be a much better fruit, and that does cost manpower. It costs your overall production rates,
Time.
but the time and just those types of things. But they're really putting out the type of fruit that they want. So the land dictates the fruit, and then they take it to the next level. But it's very clean and pure what the land is producing. Correct? Yeah.
And what's interesting about this wine in particular, this family, when they found this property, they didn't have water at all. They actually built an aquifer. It's gravity fed irrigation, and they really pretty much made agriculture possible in this little small region.
Wow.
So
Now we
pretty
did.
cool.
It's
That's
so interesting because
cool.
Mateus was talking about that too in Argentina. It's like if there's you can have this plot of land that's worth so much, but if you have the one that had the river runs through it, then it's worth so much more. And
Yeah.
basically, you can lease water rights.
Yes.
So it's the same on both sides of the mountain.
Yes.
And that's what's interesting is that it's all about irrigation. So some people will get a very high amount of irrigation. Some people will get just a very small amount, but that really does dictate the type of grape that you want to grow and what type of grape you really do produce. Because in some parts of the world they don't even let you irrigate,
Right.
and then they don't want to overwater the vines because then the fruit will become watery. It'll won't produce good fruit, and then sometimes it can dig down and search for a really fantastic fruit, but sometimes you might get too much of what you're looking for. Sometimes if Cabernet Sauvignon, it's safe to say that those vines want to dig, they want to find volcanic rock. You want to put those somewhere where they can stress out, and they'll produce really, really good fruit that you can manipulate in the winemaking process. But something as delicate as Sauvignon Blanc or Pinot Noir, sometimes that's a real gamble.
Yeah, for sure. And you don't want the grapes to get moldy. You don't want
Right.
the roots to get moldy either. So
Absolutely. So let's take a look at this wine. I mean, it's wonderful. I mean,
Smells good.
really nice legs. What do you
I
guys
would
get
take
off
a
of
look at it, but
Oh, you finished it off? Wow. He's becoming a real wino over here. Pro wino over here. Yeah. No,
was
but it's
really,
amazing. Yeah,
really
the
good.
interesting thing is you're right. This one does have grapefruit on the nose, but there's a lot of spice.
there's
I get
a lot
perfume.
of spice to it.
and it's a long finish for a Sauvignon Blanc. You don't usually get that. They usually,
Yeah,
kind of
it's-
fizzle quickly.
Yeah, it's hanging out in my tongue, and I'm enjoying
It
it.
is right, but you get like a perfume kind of floral
Yeah.
note to it that I don't
Yeah.
normally get from a
and,
Sauvignon
and it
Blanc.
goes down really, really
Really
smooth.
smooth. Yes.
The mouthfeel is tremendously smooth. You're absolutely right. There's a creaminess, a subtleness that comes from the viscosity that normally doesn't flow with a Sauvignon Blanc. Usually they're drier and crisper, and they leave a little bite on your tongue. George?
I turned my mic off. That's how excited I was. I'm really liking the sulfury kind of note to this. Am I wrong? Did I make that up?
No, and there's sort of almost there's a charcoal note at the finish
It's
too.
like a
that's what it is.
petrol.
Yeah,
A petrol sulfur, yeah, that comes from the land.
yeah.
Because these are so clean, crisp, and pure. These wines, and that's the beauty of it. Is they don't have to use a lot of pesticides. They don't have to, and they're so involved on a daily basis. If you go to France and that type of thing, or let's say like Italy or places like Australia, they're going to use more mechanical harvesting. They're going to use pesticides. They're going to use things that are kind of go with the flow. Even though a lot of vineyards today are going to the sustained vineyards, the ecologically sustained. That means that they're not using all of those things, but they are very, very all about that down south. But the thing is that they're free of all these things, so it's really a clean and pure aspect. And the fact that it wasn't until the 1980s that the influx of stainless steel and French oak barrels came to the Chilean wine industry. It really began expanding on a global scene, and that's what you're seeing here. Is they can take a wine, they can take the juice that they're looking for, and they can really, the winemaker, it is up to him to really, put his signature series on it.
Yeah, sure. It's a very new region for the globalization of winemaking. And one of the things that Vine Connections does, and why I'm proud to work for them, is they take misunderstood regions like Chile, like Argentina, like Japan, and they elevate them and help people see that some of these regions that are known for maybe mass production, there are boutique style wines and winemakers who are really thoughtful about what they do.
Yeah.
And these are fun.
Great example. Yeah, and there's no heat on the finish. And there's absolutely no heat on the finish. Now that means it's a very well balanced wine. That means, and the fact that when they're making these types of wines, they can attenuate to whatever they want. They've really left this one with the residual mouthfeel doesn't come necessarily from like a sugar type of aspect, but it's also not. It's interesting because it's like it's not attenuated all the way dry to where you're getting a scorchingly heat on the finish. It's not attenuated all the way dry to where you're getting a no mouthfeel residual. There's a nice mouthfeel. It's almost a medium bodied.
Yeah.
For a Sauvignon Blanc, that's kind of rare.
Yeah.
And then there's no heat on the finish, so the fruit really does work its way all the way through the palate.
This is really a unique white wine.
Yeah, it is. It's very unique because it has a full body to it. I mean, it's a medium body, which is something that, I think this one could work well. Generally, this, I use them as an aperitif, Sauvignon Blanc. I go with only the driest white fish, only maybe clams, oysters, that type of thing. But this could really set up against, chicken, possibly veal, or even something, that's a little bit more.
All those things you named sound really good.
Or deep fried, like tempura or something.
It
like
would
that.
really work well with that. It would absolutely, because the grease, it would almost match the grease in my mouth as far as a consistency.
It's
as
got an
opposed-
oiliness to
It
it.
does, right? It would almost match the grease as opposed to necessarily cutting through it. I mean, a good dry, crisp Sauvignon Blanc would cut through grease, but this would almost match it and it'd be silky, set up right up against it.
I'm getting really hungry.
Yeah.
I had a
You just ate.
McDonald's hamburger the other day with
And it worked pretty good.
with the Sauvignon Blanc.
That's my-
I
that's my-
can't believe I'm admitting that
No,
on
that's okay.
radio.
That's fine.
That's my wife's favorite.
I
She
do the
loves-
same thing.
My wife loves the McDonald's. She would have a Sauvignon Blanc with a Big Mac in it.
I do this with anything. I don't care.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Well, we're having a wonderful time here. This is By the Glass Show, a show about beverage culture. We come to you every Thursday at 6 o'clock on SoFlo Radio and ByTheGlassShow.com. Tonight we have Morgan Hartman in with Vine Connections, one of our favorites. She comes down all the time to show us all her boutique wines and her new line. This is a new line, right?
Mm-hmm,
This is something brand new, just came out. And where have you? I mean, you get in all the best restaurants and you pour at all the best places. Where can we find some of these around town? Have you had any good feedback from some of the nice spots around town? Like if I wanted to go out and find this wonderful wine.
Not yet. These are so
new, huh?
Yeah,
Okay,
that
great.
they haven't even arrived in the warehouse yet.
That's amazing.
These are So
We got the first.
That's
Yeah.
so cool.
Exclusive.
This is an exclusive.
This is
Yeah.
awesome.
We're special.
We are so special.
You
we really
are special.
And we're yes, George. You and your Manson glasses. Can everybody see George?
It says mansion.
Yeah,
Manson, I know. But that would be
fitting.
cool too.
If you can't see George, go to ByTheGlassShow.com or go to SoFloRadio.com and hit on the little TV, and you'll be able to watch us live. Say hello, everybody say hello. Hey, you can all watch us in all our ugly mugs. You can see the back of Dio's head. We're gonna tattoo something on the back of his head, or maybe like get a little razor and
Yeah,
you know,
let's shave.
shave
Or
SoFlo
maybe
Radio
like
on the back of his
My
back
head.
of
beanie
your head.
collection in. You can have a decorative beanie.
Drink
I got
more
a swirl one.
wine.
Drink more wine.
I have my Got Wine hat at home.
Or beer mug.
Oh, do
in
you
the back
really?
of
Yeah.
your
We'll
head.
have to put that on there.
You can put a SoFlo hat on backwards.
That's
There you go. So
That's
just
beautiful.
bring that to work from now on.
All right.
Your work uniform.
I like
That's
the beer
amazing.
mug in the back of your head idea better.
That's a good
Did I give you a hat yet?
You did not.
Okay, well, next hat.
So the interesting thing about Chile is really the fact that from the Andes to the Pacific Ocean, the soil development, it's really heavily influenced by geology and volcanic activity, and that's what we're going to taste as we go through these wines tonight. Now, do you notice that when you go down to visit your family, how like one minute you'll be walking through clay and then all of a sudden it'll be like gravel and rocks and like craggy
Oh
rocks?
yeah, it's not really like down here where there's just like either concrete or grass. Like it's either one of the two. Over there it is just like that. It's like a different variety. Like from one end of a street to another you could experience grass and then like a rocky kind of ground and then like a moist dirt because of like the precipitation in the morning.
Right.
So it's very different.
Very vast. Now, have you ever just like moseyed over and like picked some grapes that you saw like on the vine and like tasted them? Why? That's funny. Why are you laughing? I do that every time. If I see
would.
vineyards, I'm gonna go and
I'm
pick
too
some grapes.
shy.
The funny thing is that when you do that, usually the grapes are nasty. I mean, like
They are.
The thing is, like the nastier the grape tastes in your mouth, the better wine it
to
makes.
come out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
They
there you
tend
go.
to be very sweet too, like
They-
almost
Tart.
like they
Yeah.
hurt your teeth.
Yeah, they can be definitely, and it's all about the difference between the center, the blanc de blanc, and the actual skin. Creates a real nice acidity. So
And as the producer, I think it's my responsibility to point out that we're not pacing fast enough.
okay.
I see 5 bottles of wine there. We're
Okay,
through
Chardonnay.
one. I figure, one bottle every 10 minutes, and we're
I'm
20
real
minutes
interested
in.
to try the
Pass
Chardonnay
this.
because if the
Pass this to George.
Thank
George,
you.
you can wait. No, I'm just kidding.
I can't.
To Manson.
But the show can't.
Talk to me a little bit about your Chardonnay as I pour some for George. In Maleco Valley.
Yes, this is the farthest south in Chile. It's one of the things that we did was we put together a portfolio that represents 12 different regions in Chile, and we started at the top and moved our way down. And the cooler the region, the more Burgundian the wine becomes. It's great for Pinot Noir and Chardonnay. This is 2009 vintage, so it's
Wow.
4 years old. But
You don't
it's,
normally see that. To sit
No.
on. Now, is it Surly, some of it? They sit on yeast and everything, really?
Yes.
So it's got a nice creaminess. Even though, the funny thing is that generally, a Chardonnay can be, Chardonnay. Well, Chardonnay from the Chablis region or the northern Burgundy, as she speaks of in France, can be very scorchingly dry acidic. I'm without tasting this wine, I think it's going to have a little bit more dynamic aspect to it.
It does.
It's,
Yeah, right.
It's really pretty. It was one of the first wines that I tasted from
Wow.
the whole portfolio
Now,
that
this
Got a
blew me
one-
away.
nice tartness to
This
it.
one here, George, if you're going to get, I smell petrol right off on the, hold on.
There's a lot going on here.
There's honey. There's honey, but there's a lot of minerality in that. It's not just green
I just
apple
like.
on
I
the
like
nose.
what is it? The
There's
tannin. I can
something
taste
very
grape,
specific
grape
to
skin in
this.
this.
Well, hold on a second. Let me see here. I actually have notes on this.
What a cheat
one.
sheet? Is that what you got?
I
Is
do,
that what
but
you're
I'm
eating?
going to say hazelnut. Okay, so fruit intensity aftertaste. Yeah, I think that. Oh, so they add. Okay, so this one, the French oak, they actually laid this one on oak a little bit, and yep.
And this winery is considered a cult wine in Chile, from what I understand.
Oh, there
It's
is mineral touch. Okay.
very, very small production. People look at it sort of like a Kistler Chardonnay here in the United States. It's sort of one of the epitomes of the best Chardonnay down there.
Interesting, because 400 cases imported. That's boutique. You know what I mean? It's amazing. 100% Chardonnay, 500 feet elevation, which is pretty good. That means a lot of sun. Very young vines, 20 years. And they've probably been cultivating those vines and taking care of them and babying those vines and maybe grafting and getting their certain specific clone of those vines that they want exactly for those 20 years and really taking care of those vines. 13% alcohol, which is right in the ballpark. But I got something off the nose that was interesting to me. I haven't tasted it yet. But yeah, I got minerality, but it almost worked its way into like I thought it was petrol, but maybe now if I think like more of like a honey or something that's a little bit not specific. What do you think? What are you pointing at?
The microphone. The microphone. There.
Sorry, George. Did you want some more?
Almost a tangerine type.
Is it a tangerine?
Note too.
I'm trying to think
which
off
is
the
kind
top
of
of my head.
interesting.
I do get that.
We liked ours a lot.
Yeah, we enjoyed it very much.
Here you go,
I'm
guys.
so happy.
It's very easy to
I
drink, and
can-
I'm not a white wine guy.
No, these two are so easy to drink.
Wow, that one explodes in your mouth.
Yes,
Yeah,
it does.
It really does.
That's completely different than the
Yes.
Sauvignon Blanc.
Mm-hmm. It's
That's
just yummy.
bright fruit.
Yeah.
That's a lot more punch.
There's a lot of bright fruit. Definitely tangerine on the taste.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The nose is a little more subdued. I get honeysuckle on the nose, and it kind of comes through in the 3/4 palate. It might almost be like an almondy or something, but in that range, or something I can't really put my finger on, but it is tremendous. Wow.
Wow,
So-
and this is a second rounder. Everybody
Yeah.
wants more.
Well, I would have done for a second, but the bottle was too far.
Very
away.
rare these guys are actually pulling for a second rounder.
That's
This
true.
is good news.
And it's interesting because the Malaco Valley, that is way down there.
Yeah.
It's far south, yeah.
It's the farthest south growing region in Chile.
So that would
actually.
probably be, have you
I
been
think-
down that far, Stefan?
What part is it?
The Malaco, way down there. I mean, like probably like 300 or 400 miles south of Santiago. Have you ever been down that far?
Oh, okay, yeah. I have family that's around there. Like my family's more towards the south than the north.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
I mean-
it's actually a little bit above Santiago, so it's more or less in the same region.
I mean, that's like that's more you're getting into like a California style of maybe almost an Oregon, right?
Yeah.
Maybe some big trees, alpine, that type of thing, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Some fir trees, things you wouldn't normally think of when you think of Chile, but some mountainous regions and that type of thing. Very beautiful. This wine is exceptional. We're having a wonderful time here. This is By the Glass Show, and we are drinking some unbelievable wines from the Chilean portfolio of Vine Connections. We have Morgan Hartman here with us, and she's always a wonderful guest, bringing us some unbelievable stuff. And we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we're, of course, going to try some more of her amazing wines. We're going to talk a little bit more about Chile, and we're going to do all that and have a lot of fun like we always do Thursday at 6 on SoFlo Radio and ByTheGlassShow.com.
The highest rated online radio station in the world. SoFloRadio.com. Put a team of professional consultants behind your home or business computer with Key Information Solutions, providing solutions to your internet and computing needs while keeping you on the cutting edge of technology. Preventative maintenance and networking support, hardware and custom-built computers. Let Key Information Solutions be your personal tech staff for your home or office with affordable hourly, monthly, or annual rates to fit anyone's budget. Call Key Information Solutions now. 954-973-3374. That's 954-973-3374. Or visit keyinformation.com.
When you're ready to actually lose weight safely and steadily while being monitored by a physician, the Weight Loss Clinic of Dr. Kim Jacobson is there for you. The family medicine practice was established by her father in 1956 and continues as a medical practice that now specializes in weight reduction. Dr. Kim Jacobson joined the practice 20 years ago as both a family medicine practitioner and weight loss specialist. The Weight Loss Clinic utilizes a combination of appetite suppression medication and vitamins to produce great results, usually 3 to 4 pounds per week for most patients. Now you can change your lifestyle while still enjoying your own food, just less of it. They offer a choice of 2, 3, or 4-week plans. So whether you just need to lose a few pounds or a lot, the Weight Loss Clinic of Dr. Kim Jacobson can help you. They're located at 5454 Northeast 4th Avenue in Miami, just 2 blocks west of 54th Street and Biscayne Boulevard. Call them at 305-751-0091. They'll be happy to answer any and all of your questions. That's 305-751-0091. Get started on a beautiful new body today with Dr. Kim Jacobson and the Weight Loss Clinic. Hi, this is George. You know, trying to get laid all day makes me hungry, so I go to Power Smoothie in Aventura and get the healthiest wraps and most delicious smoothies ever made. I mean, really, the smoothies are so insanely delicious, they're orgasmic. The staff is friendly there and cute. The food is healthy and real, not processed. This is not fast food, it's good food served fast. And they love me there. They even let me create my own smoothie, the Malted Jorge. Go in and ask for one. They're in the Promenade Shops right off of US 1 in Aventura, or call them at 305-792-5338. You can also visit them online at powersmoothieaventura.com.
Say, remember when radio was fun?
Now it's dead.
Because deregulation has allowed one massive corporation to spread its tentacles like a giant octopus, absorbing radio stations around the globe. And that's why you hear this.
SoFlo Radio will stand and fight the corporate monolith. SoFloRadio.com. SoFloRadio.com. And now we return you to By the Glass.
Yeah, I don't like to put anybody down because you never know who you're going to work for in the future.
Hey everybody, welcome back to By the Glass. We're having a wonderful time here tonight. We're talking a little bit about Chilean wines. Unbelievable. Morgan Hartman in from Vine Connections, and she's bringing us the best that she's got. She brings it to us first so that we can share with you on By the Glass show. And what we have here tonight is a real diverse makeup of all different kinds of wines, right from Sauvignon Blanc all the way down through wonderful Bordeaux blends. And it's interesting, in America, a Bordeaux blend, they call it a hermitage. What do they call that in Chile?
Bordeaux blend.
Bordeaux blend. But but they do really great. And what I really love about winemaking in the modern day, if you look at Italy with their Super Tuscans, basically they took the two best grapes of Europe, Bordeaux, and they just kind of put their Sangiovese in there, and they have this amazing wine, the Super Tuscan grape that can be all Sangiovese or it can be a blend of all, but it really puts this new mark on things. And then when you bring it down to South America and you look at their Bordeaux blends, they've taken some of their best grapes that grow the best, either be Malbec or Carmenere, and they've mixed them with the Merlot and some of the other grapes of Bordeaux, Cabernet Sauvignon, and they've created these unbelievable wines as well. Mm-hmm. And that's the nouveau way of thinking, and they've exploded the world here in doing this. So,
a number of these winemakers came to Chile from France, or their ancestors did. Yeah. Came to Chile from France, and also from Switzerland. We're actually going to taste a wine from a Swiss winemaker who was a collector and was a major Francophile, and decided he wanted to make his own Bordeaux blend there. He found that it was a perfect region. So you're going to see a huge European influence. I think you might agree that a lot of the Europeans are seeing this place as perfect.
Yeah, no, it really is. As far as the vinifera that's going on there and everything. And George would be a Francophile if he knew what a Franco was.
Hey, it's a Frank. Yeah. I like hot dogs a lot. I am totally a Francophile. And sausage.
Sure you do.
No, but there's a lot of unbelievable stuff going on in Chile, and it does come from ancestry, and it comes from heritage, and it comes from the fact that, if you look at, let's say, Argentina, and I know that they probably hate to be compared to each other, but as far as regions go and what's going on down there, and it is the nouveau winemaking style, mind. And if you look at Argentina, they're doing very interesting, small boutique. They're really working independently as wineries to create a whole modern era. They're changing the culture of wine growing in Argentina. I really think that that's important to note in Chile, that that's the spark has been kind of made, and is that in motion down there? What's your view on that as far as Chile nouveau winemaking?
I think that Chile has gotten a reputation in the United States as being a region with mass-produced wine, and that was the way that they were able to get their wines into a global market. But what I believe is that there are a lot of people that are going down there and taking the region very seriously, taking the grapes very seriously, and trying to change the perception that not everything that happens down there has to be mass done. That, and I think that the consumption of wine here in the United States in particular is moving towards more boutique style wines. Yes. People are becoming more serious about what they drink and what they eat. There's been a revolution that has really changed the way we consider what we put in our mouths.
It's true. I have a great show from probably about a year ago. Garrett Oliver from the Brooklyn Brewery. He does a nice little spout about Wonder Bread. Well, it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. It's like, hold on a second. That's a real saying from the 50s when they thought Wonder Bread was really a wonder.
Wonder.
Yeah. Right. You know, it's like we got pills. We got one kind of beer. We got one kind of bread. You know what I mean? And that's what was amazing. We got Velveeta cheese. So you can have your Velveeta cheese, your Wonder Bread, and your light beer.
And your Spam.
And that's how people ate.
Oh, God.
No, that's that was amazing because we got away from all this real food into this conglomerate of just what food should be.
Yeah.
And now food is just completely going back the other way to where people are finding out that real flavor, you don't have to settle for just one type of thing. You know, there's all kinds of choices out there, and it's amazing that the actual, the industry around us is giving us an influx of wonderful choices, and wine is no different.
Yeah, I completely agree. I remember growing up on Swanson pot pies.
Yeah.
And my parents had Lancers in
Mama
the cabinet.
Celeste frozen pizza.
Oh, I still have those.
Lancers with the little, the bottle.
The little bottle,
Absolutely. You couldn't even see the wine.
Wow.
Why do you got to see it?
Now, my mom still drinks Pinot Grigio in the Magnums, but my dad actually, he goes to the store and he calls me and he's like, what about this Pinot Noir? So it's a change of mentality about or maybe it's just an art form and people are caring more about it.
Well, in their defense, those were tough times. You're just coming out of the World War II, and things weren't easy back in those days. We had in this day and age, we're able to go out and just live our lives and enjoy good things. Where those people, they worked their ass off. Let's face it.
Yeah.
And if they had something to eat, that was a blessing. So, but it's nice to know that that's come full circle, and we have the ability now to really enjoy ourselves and enjoy the fruits of their labors and enjoy the finer things in life. So
enjoying fruits of labor.
Absolutely.
What?
So let's get to the
What
Carmenere.
an awesome idea.
Let's talk Carmenere.
Carmenere Cuvée Colchuaga. Hey, Colchuaga Valley, baby. Steph, have you ever been to the Colchuaga Valley?
I have not, actually.
I think this is. Talk to me a little bit about the Colchuaga. Am I saying it right? Colchuaga? Colchuaga?
It's really the best known place for Carmenere.
It is.
And there are different stories about the history of Carmenere and Chile, but the first story is that it actually was Merlot, and it was considered to be Merlot until they did DNA testing and found out that it actually was its own varietal.
Correct.
And
now, it was a varietal that grew in Bordeaux.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Merlot kind of got, or it was Malbec that was the one that was kind of stomped out during the phylloxera of 1915 when all the vines died. I think Carmenere kind of went the way of that, but they did sneak some of those vines over on their own on the boats, right? In the turn by 1850s.
Yes. Yeah,
Is that correct?
they dip them in wax and take them over.
Right, and then
that's how they'd preserve the root stock.
And it turned out to be Carmenere over after all, and it is basically the sovereign son of Chile. This is their grape, correct?
Yes, and it's a very hardy grape, and it is really a difficult grape to get ripe.
Ooh.
So the perception of it
Nice.
in a lot of people's minds who have consumed it before is that it's very green and it doesn't have a lot of fruit. It's got like a bell pepper flavor, but what I like about this one is that it's really smooth. It is really smooth. It doesn't have that characteristic at all.
This is bright. It's medium bodied, beautiful. I mean, the legs on this one is unbelievable. If you look at the depth of it, I mean, it's a 2012, but it shows that it's young and really bright fruits that just kind of jump out.
It has a smooth scent to it, though, which indicates that it goes down very smooth.
Yeah, interesting thing about it is it reminds me almost like if I was going to compare it to other European vinifera, would be a Syrah because of the bright, jammy fruit that it gives off the nose, almost like a raspberry or that intense, bright fruit, fresh fruits, amazing bouquet of flavors.
The thing is all about the placement, where you plant the grapes and how much ripeness you get. And that slow cold wind that blows in allows these grapes to hang on the vines a little bit longer, and you don't get that vegetal quality. You're not
Right.
harvesting too quickly. And
Yeah, I know. It's interesting. Anything can have that vegetal quality. I remember it's funny one year I made my bones selling Gallo wine in the 90s, and we had one batch. I think it was a 97 Gallo Sonoma Cab Sauvignon, and I used to sell the crap out of it because of the value. Gallo Sonoma, you're gonna get the greatest grapes, and blah blah blah. But we had one batch that was so green pepper, man, and I would be at like tastings, and I'd be like pouring it for people, and they're like, "Whoa, there's something familiar about that." I'm like. Subway sub, green pepper. You know what I mean? It was just like, yeah, they planted the batch too close to the olive trees. You know what I mean? I had like come up with some BS. You know what I mean? But any grape can really have that kind of green pepper. It really depends on, like you said, the harvesting and the cultivation of the actual grape, and the long, slow. If you have the ability to sit on the vines longer and really mature and get that hang time that you're looking for, and that's the beauty and the magic of the winemaker, because these guys are looking at their baby every day, that grape, those clusters on the vine, and they know exactly when to pick. Pick too early and you're done. You pick too late and you chance mold, you chance rain. If it rains the next day, before you want to pick, that sucks up into the grapes, and then you have watery grapes, and your whole harvest is done. I remember having Matthias on, and he was talking about, it was just like, it really is like a daily thing. These guys wake up in the middle of the night. I gotta go look at my grapes.
it's their baby.
It's intense. And to see that they've produced such an unbelievable fruit here, and absolutely amazing. Interesting, I've seen in the bottle since 1892. These guys have been around forever. Mm-hmm. And the fact is that they've been working on getting these boutique wines going for that long.
And they did a good job.
It's one of the first Carmeneres I've really enjoyed, and I would have a second glass.
Yeah, I don't normally buy Carmenere. It tends to be a little bit more mass-produced, but this one here, I haven't tasted it yet, and I'm already in love with it. George, you finished yours. What do you think?
I thought it was really good. I like reds, generally speaking, better than whites. This is very, very, I don't know, husky. I know that you usually say musky. But
no, that's fine. No, you know what? It's full-bodied. It tastes like it's been laid on wood. There's definitely the tannins are exceptional for Carmenere. You don't normally find that kind of complexity. That's called structure. When you taste a wine like that, and it goes from fruit all the way through, and it really leaves layers of flavor on your tongue, the structure is intense. And now you get that almost like furry fuzziness on your tongue, that tannin that really lingers. That is tremendous.
I really like this wine.
Unbelievable with some Rockford blue cheese. Oh, my God.
Oh, yeah. I like
that. Ooh, go get some.
Yeah. You want to try some more, George?
Yeah. Please. After all, I do have to skate later.
We're having an absolutely wonderful time here on By the Glass Show. We come to you.
And it smells good, too.
Thursday at 6 on SoFlo Radio and ByTheGlassShow.com. We can't thank Morgan Hartman for coming on enough. She's absolutely wonderful, and she's like racing down here in traffic, like, oh my God, I gotta go. Like trying to find a parking spot and everything. Like we can't thank her enough for going through all this to get to us with her absolutely wonderful boutique line that she's just now bringing to the States. And this is great stuff. This stuff is going to be an absolute hit and just amazing.
I really do think that Chile has been misunderstood as far as the wine making goes, and I think that the more we talk about the quality that's there, the more people will start to understand that there's quality in every wine making region. So
fantastic. Now, interesting. I was looking through the notes, and we were talking a little bit before about some of the specific grapes. Now, there's more than 20 varietals that are grown in Chile. Most are French and Spanish origin, but of course, the most commonly planted grape is Cabernet Sauvignon. And the interesting thing is, you don't have like a straight cab; you have like blends of it, which is great. I don't like to drink. If I'm going to drink a straight cab, it's going to be a specific Bordeaux. Or I like blended wines. When you blend correctly, you have the most beautiful. Like if you blend, like we talked about it last week, if you a couple of colors together, the most beautiful violet hues or that type of thing, you can really make something very, very beautiful and gorgeous out of it. Than just greater than the sum of its parts. But sometimes just a brilliant, bright color that really stands out is amazing too. But some of mostly that, but you have some unbelievable grapes that are grown there, one being Pedro Jimenez, which to me is very interesting because I know of Pedro Jimenez to make sherry, and then of course Cava in Spain. But talk to me a little bit about Pedro Jimenez and why they're growing it there, and what you guys are doing with it in Chile.
Well, they grow it in Argentina. It's actually, nobody would believe me if I said this, but it's true. It's the most widely planted grape in Argentina.
Wow, I didn't know that.
For sparkling wine, and also in Chile. And as a still wine, it's really delicious. And one of the wines that we're going to import is a straight Pedro Jimenez still red wine, and it's as stunning as the Carmenere. But originally, it was brought over for sacramental reasons, for church purposes, and I'm sure church is a great excuse to drink.
It's always been my experience. I go to church every Sunday to get hammered.
They never
So do the Altar
pour
Boys.
me enough. What did you
Those
say?
guys need to
What
drink.
did
You
you say?
kidding me?
What? Nothing. Just move right along.
George was an altar boy. He should know.
Yes, I'm an altered boy.
Now he's just an altered image. He's got an alter ego. Where do you think he got I've been bad from? He was told he's been bad, so he just now he admits it.
They're always taking me in the rectory.
George, I've been bad. Is that in the front of the church or around back?
It's on the brown back, of course. I thought everybody knew that.
Right by the alley.
Oh man, the back
I was
alley.
going to try to behave today.
No, there's no behaving.
Then why did you come here?
Yeah, this is not a
6
place.
glasses deep. I mean,
Oh, God.
Oh, unbelievable! But yes, Pedro Jimenez, he's a great guy, and they named a grape after him. But the funny thing is that you say, for sparkling wine, and I'm ignorant to this. It's a red grape,
It is.
but they use the white insides.
It turns into a red grape. I mean, it turns into a red wine because the skin is what
The
gives
skin's but they
wine
actually
color.
probably just press the juice clear and then do free run. Correct? Yeah, most people don't realize. You do have the options because you can just take a red grape, press it clear. Guess what? The juice is white because it's the juice.
Even
it's
in
not until
Cabernet.
even not until you lay the skin on for quite a period of time that it seeps all of that red dye into it. So you can use red grapes to make white wine. Now, that's why when you see on some champagne or sparkling wines a Blanc de Noir, Blanc de Blanc, that means it's the white inside of a red grape. And what it is some can be sweeter, some can be a little drier, but it's also how how they attenuate it and that type of thing. But it's interesting that the Pedro Jimenez, you would think that they also make many different cuvées, which are different still batches, and they blend them together because, and just like champagne, no one batch can make a great wine sometimes, so they'll keep batches over the years and they'll blend them together. Do they do that with Pedro Jimenez as well to make cava? I mean, it's interesting that you say that that's one of the most widely grown.
Yeah, and I have to. You have to forgive me. I do believe it is a white grape, not a red grape. But the juice is the most important part. But it is most widely planted grape. People think Toronto's when they think Argentina.
Yeah.
And it's not
funny because
true.
I don't really even see it, and you know what? The funny thing is that 70% of the grapes so the wine produced in Argentina is not export.
Yes.
So I mean, I would imagine that it's a lot of the sparkling that the people they buy themselves and that type of thing, because they don't really export a lot of sparkling from Argentina to America, do they? Or do you guys have any in your lines?
We do. We have two, but the consumption per capita in Argentina in the 1960s, for example, 1970s was I think it was 82 liters per person or something like that, which is like a magnum per person per week, which
Wow. That's a lot.
It's
now,
not a lot in my house.
A magnum?
A magnum per person per week.
Okay, so that means that's a magnum's like what, about 3 bottles? How much is a magnum?
Two bottles.
2 bottles per person per week?
Yeah,
I
but
guess
considering there are a lot of people that don't drink, or there's a lot of kids that can't drink,
right,
it still is quite a bit.
Yeah.
I believe the United States is somewhere between 18 and 20 or something like that.
Okay.
So they were 4 times the consumption, and Pedro Jimenez is, from what I understand, pretty easy to grow. And
that's got to be the key to it, because if we looked at it, I remember talking to Matias about that, is back in the day when the settlers, they didn't necessarily want to grow the harder to grow grapes. They weren't looking to grow the grapes that made the best wines. They were looking to grow grapes that they could cultivate quickly, like with big that would produce big fruit like a Pedro Jimenez, that they could make wine out of quickly, and they could just make something that the people could drink. And they weren't looking to make really, because hey, let's face it, it's the 1800s. People want, they want to make a table wine that people can drink. It's readily available, and for people to buy in the store, as opposed to the really high end boutique wines that nobody's making that kind of money anyway in the 1800s. So it's interesting. I remember him talking about that. So that's a great point. Another interesting thing that we talked a little bit about is irrigation, and one of the points here in the notes was the snowmelt irrigation. You were talking to me a little bit about some of these people like really looking for these destinations.
Yeah, where they could channel the snow from the Andes Mountains to their vineyards. And I don't know, do you see much of that in Chile?
Do they like build like specific canals? Have you seen that type of thing?
I haven't seen like that much closer to it, but I mean I've seen canals run down.
Oh, you have?
Yeah, and down hills as well.
So like from a snowfield, maybe a snow patch. So like in the summer as it
Thaws
melts,
yeah,
they'll direct the water through an irrigation canal to a certain area.
I've definitely seen that trail come down from
and they'll
the
have like
mountain.
maybe a
something to collect it.
Something to collect like a pond.
Yeah.
We got a pool or a pond in the back. Pool will do for you. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, no, so absolutely that's amazing. So and then that's what they got to do, and it makes for, it makes things even harder if you think about it. I mean, everybody looks at like Napa Sonoma, it's like, hey man, there's water everywhere.
Right.
You don't got to worry about water.
Yeah, they worry more about fog and rain and that kind of stuff that can damage a vineyard. And in these places, they're worried more about drought.
Yeah, and the drought is intense. Let's pop the next one before we go to break. We'll pop the next one, then we'll go to break, and then we'll come back. What do we got?
This is von Siebenthal. This is
von Siebenthal.
This is the Swiss guy who he was a wealthy wine collector living in Switzerland, and he decided he wanted to make his own wine, and he was a major Francophile. So this is our first Bordeaux blend. This is Cabernet, Petit Verdot, Merlot, and Cab Franc.
Okay, so you said it twice now. What the hell's a Francophile? I don't even know.
Someone who likes French things and French culture.
There you go, George.
And Franks.
And Franks.
Perfect. No, I was kind of thinking it was that, but I like clarify for the people at home. This is an entertainment show. I don't just sit here to pontificate and tell you how much I know. I mean, we want people to have fun. So, okay, Francophile.
Yes.
Perfect. I love that word.
Get started with this one.
Okay, perfect.
This is
Parcella 7. So this is actual, really small micro.
Very, very tiny production. What I hear is that he's kind of like
inky.
a mad
really pretty.
scientist.
Yeah.
He really geeks out about making his wine, and he's kind of, I don't know. I picture some guy with like Einstein
and
with his
like George
with my glasses.
Right? Yeah.
You need a wig.
He's probably got one.
I'm always getting that from the girls. What is that? It's because of my bald spot, right? Just go ahead.
This is amazing stuff, though. Wiener von Siebenthal. Estate bottled, hand-picked. And look at that. Interesting. 72,000 bottles produced.
Yeah, he's a complete wine geek.
This is very dry.
Well, that's what we're looking for. Now, interesting. Now, he's from Switzerland. Now, I have had the absolute joy and wonder to travel through Europe and on a few tours. And one time we went through the Swiss Alps, and as you climb into the Alps, the vineyards that hug the mountain are absolutely beautiful, and you see the people, and they're picking on these like treacherous cliffs, and they're out there like hand picking. I imagine, and I never knew that there was so much, wine, but borders Germany, it borders France, and the wine goes right into Switzerland. Where the altitude limits and where they can actually grow it. So I'm sure he took some vineyard vines with him and his knowledge of many years.
He did, and you can understand if you've been through the Alps. Why the Andes Mountains would be so interesting to him.
Yes, absolutely, it is. And the funny thing is about the Alps is it really segments Europe, and it causes the fact that everybody speaks a different language. That it's not the United States because of the Alps, and basically everybody speaks Spanish in South America, but it's not one country because
except
of the
Brazilians.
Andes. Yeah, exactly. Perfect point. And it's not one country because of the Andes Mountains. Really, they break everything up. I mean, that's a mountain range that is not passable.
We got this country and these mountains. No. It's the wine.
Classic.
It's the glasses.
Classic.
The wine
But I
glasses.
can see how.
Oh,
These are my wine
Manson.
glasses. Get it?
Oh,
Get it? They're
Manson.
purple. All right.
You're such a kid.
And there's red on them and white.
Right?
There you go.
This is
And the
amazing
mouse. I
stuff.
don't know.
Oh, Manson.
Wow. What are we
You're gonna ruin her computer spitting on it like that.
Ah.
You should put a sneeze guard on your computer when you bring it in here, Stephanie.
This wine is about as complex as it gets. Can I mind if I ask you how much this one goes for? 14.5% alcohol.
I believe it's $35.
An
Suggested
absolute,
retail.
an unbelievable
It
value.
is really.
And what's
really
the blend
good.
in this? I mean, there's
It's
definitely Cabernet. you know.
Cabernet, Merlot, Petit Verdot, and
So that's your basic Bordeaux blend.
Cab Franc.
So it's 100% Bordeaux blend, yeah, and it really tastes that way. But it does have that nouveau brightness to it. I mean, this is fresh. I would think this would be more right bank, like a Saint Estephe, more than like a Saint, than more like a Margaux or something like that. If I was going to look at like a blow. So like I taste more like the bright fruits of like the Merlot and that type of thing than
This
I would
is
the dryness.
It's
of the
really
Cabernet.
palate cleansing. It leaves nothing behind. It just strips all the
but-
saliva from my mouth.
That's true, but it is also fresher fruits. They're not like dry. It doesn't seem like you creaked open the old, cellar door.
No.
I found this really easy to drink.
It is
it's
very
fantastic.
easy to drink.
Yeah, that's that Nouveau American.
It's a nice Bordeaux blend that is smooth. It doesn't have such a dry taste to it that
Am I
you're
tasting like lavender, or is that my imagination?
Floral notes. Yeah, absolutely. You can get that from for sure. Interesting. Really wonderful. And it does. The acid falls away a little bit in the tannin. It's not as the interesting thing was the other one was a little bit more tannic. I got a little more Carmenere, a little more fuzz on my tongue than I did for this one, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Which is interesting. You don't
One had a
normally
little more
get that.
bite than the other.
Yeah, that's an incredible Carmenere. That really is.
I know. It makes you realize that there is
Wow.
good Carmenere out there.
Yeah, I didn't think you could do that. I didn't think that they were dynamic enough to produce that.
I didn't either.
Unbelievable.
I was a skeptic.
Folks, I'd like to say as we enjoy all these wonderful wines, we talk to our good friends from Vine Connections, Morgan Hartman and everything. We like to say enjoy all these wonderful wines responsibly. Do not drink and drive. Do not overconsume. Do not drink under 21. If you're drinking, stay home, enjoy these wines with a nice steak or some wonderful Roquefort cheese. Do everything responsibly. And I'd like to thank Ed Roberts for hooking us up, as always. Jason, my buddy, couldn't be here tonight, but we're having a wonderful show.
We love you, Jason.
Absolutely, and this is phenomenal stuff. We got one more wine. I guess we're gonna get to it. Yeah, Le Bouchon.
We have time for wine, but
Oui,
not
oui.
time for a break.
No breaks. No breaks. We're gonna.
I have lotion on my hands. I
worries.
can't open it.
Glad you got my text.
And there's the decline.
Wah, wah, wah. Thank you. Thank you very much. I'll be here all night.
Really?
No, I'm leaving in a half hour.
That's what I thought.
So this is another Bordeaux blend from Jay Bouchon.
So it's from Jay Bouchon. Perfect
Trying to reel
segue.
it back in.
Reel it back in. Yo.
Real hard.
Yeah.
This is a winemaker who really likes Bordeaux as well, and he makes two wines.
Violet Hughes.
His great grandfather
you
came
go.
to Chile in the 1800s and planted grapes, but he really likes Bordeaux, and he has two wines called Canta Sur and Canta Nord, meaning left and right bank. So this is definitely more left bank style.
That's a 2012.
Yes.
Now it's interesting now that this is very. This seems like this label is kind of like just very
Well,
straightforward.
These are samples that came
Oh,
to
okay,
me,
okay,
so I
okay.
think some of these labels are sort of in the works. This really is the first debut of all
These
of
are
these
amazing.
wines.
Now this is from the Malo Valley as well. A very specific geographical makeup, and right off the nose. These kind of fall right there. Excuse me, in that interesting aspect of the fact that it is a Bordeaux blend with Nouveau New World types of grapes. So what they're bringing you folks, it's kind of almost better than the original, because those lands, all those winemakers and everything, you'll pay $5,000 for a Petrus and that, whatever, a right bank, Merlot forward, but with something like this, this is going to cost you $35-$40, and it might not have the unbelievable scorching acidity, but it really has a flavor that can be enjoyed right away. And these are unbelievable values. These wines are unbelievably flavorful, tasty. They work with a wide range of many different foods. And I look at his glass, and he's wearing a white T-shirt. It's inky with the violet hue. That's just unbelievable. You can't even see through
That's
that.
my punk rock name, by the way, Violent Hue.
But I mean, it's tremendous. If you look at these wines, they are inky, they're dark, and they have a lot of real continuity to them. The structure is ridiculous. You can tell that, if you look at the legs on the glass, I mean, just wonderful pillars that fall down. And from tip to tail, I mean, these things, they have the nose, they have the flavor, they have the structure. They are amazing. This is an amazing lineup. I can't thank you so much for coming in, Miss Morgan Hartman of Vine Connections. And this is her Chilean wine collection. Do you have a name for the boutique collection that you want to put out there?
Chilean wine collection.
There we go. That's what it is.
Think about that a long time.
Thank you so much.
Have help with that one.
Thanks for everybody out there. Everybody wants you to be safe. Come see us tune in next week to buytheglassshow.com, or go to my website, Buy the Glass Show, and see what we're drinking next week. Come out and buy it up with us.
SoFloRadio.com and SoFloTelevision.com.